Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Traditionally, in the end of the year, I do a review of my huge coloring book collection and of all my finished colored works. I think that it will be a quite long review. I tried to divide it into several parts, but I didn't have any creative ideas how to divide my books, so I thought maybe we will start from some fantasy books or books uh, about fairy tales. And you can see here book number one, it's Zemlya Snova by Tomislav Tomic. I would say that it's my favorite coloring book, even if it's quite difficult for me. I got this book quite early in my coloring journey. Roberta very generously sent me Zemlya Snova and then also Villain Sun, and I was so touched, I was so surprised that it's possible to receive such a generous gift, and of course I immediately fall in love with the designs inside. But I can't say that it's easy book for me. Usually I do my color planning, but still when I start to color something usually goes wrong. Sometimes I select a wrong color, sometimes I miss some elements, so this book is quite challenging for me. But still here I have a lot of works which I genuinely love. One of them is this unicorn, and most of all, I am proud that I step out of my comfort zone. You know that I tend to color in realistic way. So for me, pink, violet and turquoise leaves, it's something unusual. So I am proud of myself. And I'm also proud that I had enough patience to do the whole background using pencils. It was long, but I think that the result totally worth it. Also, it was my first attempt how to add some color reflections to the white skin of the unicorn, white fur, and I think that unicorn also isn't bad. I'm glad that I did this light halo around fairy. It definitely helped me not to lose it. The only strange thing here is this peach plant on the foreground, but I think that I simply was on the final steps and I totally lost any parts of my imagination, so that's why I selected such a strange color here. But still, I love this spread. I think that I colored this winter house probably 2 or maybe 3 years ago, so it's quite um, ancient work. I'm glad that I turned this picture into a winter one. Usually, I saw that many colorists create beautiful fall scenes here or summer, but I decided to cover roofs with snow and I really love this effect. And it was very fun to color because there are so many small cute details from the life of trolls. Usually I don't have many unfinished abandoned works, and if I have them, mostly I have them here in Zemlya Snova. Here I started to do this Snow Queen. I remember that it was last December. I did her dress, then I thought that I will be using cold colors for the background, but I don't know what happened. Maybe winter holidays were over or weather changed. Anyway, I totally lost my inspiration. Maybe one day I will return to it because I think that dress isn't bad and golden parts they aren't bad. So only thing I need to do is to find inspiration and to finish background. The left side I colored a couple of years ago for my birthday. My birthday is in August, and here I tried to create impression of the very hot August day. So we have some kind of them maybe hot clouds or it's the shapes of trees far from us, and I really love this color combo of turquoise and orange yellow. Since that picture I used this color combo many times. My next page here is a spread with dragon. It took me almost 2 months to complete it because I started very successfully. I did walls, flowers, but then I made a mistake and I colored a very dark floor, so I had to erase it. Usually I don't use eraser in my books, and here I had to delete this very dark color. Then I made break. When I returned to this page, I decided that I need to color it in fantasy way. That's why I have golden grass and golden tree. I was very happy how they looked. Then I did this green blue dragon, and for me it looked like a giant lizard. I don't know. I love these colors by itself, but probably they simply didn't match the idea of this page. So again, I had to make a break. Then I decided that I already put so many into this picture that I have to finish it. And I did this ultramarine background. Besides, everything here is colored with polychromasis. And only when I added this very pale pastel cream flowers, then I started to love this page. Now I like it even if I am not 100% happy with my color choice for the body of the dragon. This one I did also 2 years ago, and it was my first dark horse. I tried to add various browns to the skin to add some color accents. And I do love how this color looks together with a violet background, but I can't say that it was wise to use this yellow color for the flowers. They attract too much attention and they distract attention from the horse itself. I had to do a very bright wings. I did them on the last step after I realized that flowers probably are too bright, and I remember that I watched a lot of reference pictures of tropical butterflies, and I found beautiful butterfly from South America, I believe, and I used its colors for the wings. Here I have another abandoned work because I really enjoyed coloring all those frogs and orchids, and even now I love them. But then I realized that I have no idea how to fill in this huge empty background. At that moment I was expecting set of neo colors, and I thought that after I will receive my mail, then with neo colors, it will be easier to do background. I received neo colors 2 years ago and I still hadn't finished this spread. I don't know what to say. Maybe one day I will return to it because I really love all finished elements here. So maybe I just have to think really hard about which color of the background I want to do here, and then it will be easier for me to finish it. This dragon was one of my earliest works, probably my second finished work in this book, and I do like it. Color for the dragon is a little bit strange also, but at least it helps to attract all attention of the viewer to the dragon. Maybe it doesn't match very nicely with the more muted pastel colors of the frame, but anyway, I experimented. This spread is my huge love. First of all, because I love to color roosters. I love to color their feathers because they have variety of colors from green to blue, turquoise, green, and also a lot of golden warm colors. So I love to color roosters. Also, I enjoyed when I practiced how to color various types of the grapes, basket was very time consuming because of so many details. And in the end, I also was so tired from this page that I simply covered background using soft pastels. But maybe it's not bad because the whole picture is so detailed that it definitely doesn't need any complicated background. And when I got this book, I immediately fall in love with this spread. You know that I love castles, I love knights, I love princesses, so I fall in love with this page and I still love how it looks, even if it's quite old work. I really enjoyed doing all the armory here. Dress is also very nice. The only thing I would change now, I would cover black lines around clouds. But usually I don't return to my old works and I don't change them. I prefer to look at them and to remember my coloring journey. I decided to do similar frames for the left and right sides. I remember that to do the left side was quite easy. It was one of my first attempts to use polychromoses after I got them, and mostly I use polychromoses here. Only this background, this peach magenta lavender background, I did with Prismacolors. And here it was fun to color each and every element, every fish, but maybe in the end I used excessive amount of colors. In such a way, mermaid and her beautiful tail, they are slightly lost among all the fishes. I tried to at least combine pairs of fishes, but still, maybe I had to limit amount of colors, but at least I love my black pearl. On the spread I also used soft pastel for the left side of the background and pencils on the right. I like that here definitely this royal bird is the focal point of the page, but I also tried to use similar colors which we have on this bird feathers for the smaller birds, but they are a little bit paler so they don't distract attention from the bird. And I do love this idea of one golden and three normal usual eggs. And what else I have here? Another pair of quite early works. When I got this book I was afraid to start coloring in it. Then I finally started to color and I immediately finished probably 5 pictures, and then again I started to be afraid to color in it. I can't say that these pictures that they are perfect, but they are also not a disaster, so I do love them, and here I really tried to use unusual colors like this gray magenta and gray red colors on the fur, on the feathers, and together with this very bright green background. So I experimented. And this fairy was my first finished work. As I said, after Roberta sent me this book, I didn't find courage to start coloring actually. And only after a couple of months I participated in Coloring Along on Facebook group, and in pairs we had to choose picture and to color it. So we selected this page, and that was beginning of my coloring in Tomislav Tomic. And finally here I have this spread. Couple of years ago I colored this lion also for my birthday because I'm lion myself, and then I slowly finished the whole spread. Here I used variety of colors. I think that my purpose was to color each and every leaf, each and every flower in different way. It was fun, but it's a little bit overwhelming, I would say. I used here a mix of Prismacolors and even color softs. But still, I love this wooden enchantress, something like this. And I do love this lion. It reminds me about Venice. I don't know why, but a villain sun is a little bit easier for me to color. My first page was this very beautiful but a very difficult spread. Color choice was quite easy. Immediately I knew that I want to try doing this lemon yellow flowers together with intense green background. But it was physically very challenging because everything here starting from this huge tree trunk and the whole background I colored with colored pencils. Mostly I used polychromases, and in the end my hand hurted a lot, so I had to make a break. But I do love this contrast between overall warm colors of the birds, flowers, and cold colors which I used on the fairies. I would like to make bigger variety in colors on the birds, and actually I used two color combos, like these three birds I colored with one pencils and these three birds I colored with other pencils, but visible difference isn't that big. But anyway, I do love this picture. This hedgehog is my quite new work. I think that I finished it in previous months, and finally this was a very easy. Here I didn't have any problems. I simply wanted to create a little bit of fall atmosphere. That's why I selected a warm yellow green colors for the background, yellow orange colors for the leaves, and I enjoyed doing this page. My only question was, how comfortable is to travel on the hedgehog? Surprisingly, almost all my finished pictures in Villain Sun are in the first part of the book. With this mermaid I struggled a lot. During this mermaid I did background, corals, and I was quite happy with this start. Then I did body and hair of mermaid, and I realized that they are slightly lost because of the intense color of the background. I was discouraged, I was disappointed, but then this orange color helped me to attract more attention to the mermaid. So then I really tried hard to select colors for the fishes, colors which wouldn't distract attention from the mermaid. I can't say that this page is good, but at least I am glad that I hadn't abandoned it and that I finished it. Next spread I do like. I love this right side because I invented some story behind this picture. You can see this tiny magician here, and he is reading some magical spell to the old autumn tree, and around the face of the tree you can see that it started to bloom, and here branches are nice, fresh, and they are green. So it's like back from autumn to spring. My difficulty was how to work on this right bottom corner because it was empty and the top part was quite detailed, so it wasn't balanced. And also I had to attract attention to the magician in some way, so I added these swirls of color and dots with glitter Posca. This left picture I colored with Prismacolors. Usually I prefer to color with polychromases in this Croatian edition, but here I used Prismacolors. My only problem here was that I totally forgot about some bush which we have behind the deer, and I realized it only when I did half of the background, but I think that in the end everything looks quite nice. I especially wanted to do deer with golden I forgot how to call them, not antlers, but anyway. So fur had to be very light and everything else had to be considerably darker, and that's exactly what I did here. Antlers, horns, anyway, I again forgot how to call them properly. And the only one remaining picture here is in the very end. I did it because I wanted to test this cold grey lavender color for the walls, and I did love how it looks on the castle and together with green orchids. But then I did these flowers, which are interesting looking by themselves, but together with the rest of the page, again, they are too overwhelming. They definitely distract attention from the castle and even from this girl. I would say now that I definitely had to color them in much paler way. Even white orchids would look much better on this composition. But still, it was interesting to experiment with unusual colors for the walls. I didn't want to do traditional castle with brown or grey walls. That's why I decided to experiment. Next book which I decided to include in this first part is The Night Voyage by Daria Song. It's my only book by Daria, and it was one of my first books which I purchased 4 years ago from my first order from Book Depository. I did a couple of spreads here. This one and this one. I don't know why, but I decided that I want to color this book in order. This page is quite memorable for me because it was my first successful attempt to do gold. And here it was first time when I really loved how my gold looked. And then I moved to the next page and I realized that I have no idea how to fill in this huge empty background. I didn't want to risk and to use watercolors. Paper is good, but still book is double-sided and I didn't want to ruin it. So I put it aside and I waited until I got my set of neocolors. And neocolors were the savers of this book. This background and also backgrounds on the next pages all are colored with neocolors, and the rest with Prismacolors. Here again, background with a little bit of gouache and neocolors. I saw beautiful pictures from this book made by other colorists where backgrounds were made with pencils. I admire their patience, their ability to do it, but I don't have patience for such things. So that's why I'm so happy that I used neocolors here and they were very helpful. And the only one page which I did here, again with neocolors, was this very strange background, but one day I imagined this background with these bubbles or spheres, and I decided that I want to try. I found this page which was suitable for this kind of background. I draw all those bubbles, spheres with neocolors, and all these tubes, presents and girl were colored with Prismacolors. Background looks strange, but I do love how it looks. It was interesting to do, and really it helped me a lot to learn my neocolors. Another book is Mysterious Library. I also have this book for a long time already. It also was a present and I started to color in it very actively when I just received it. And when I started I didn't have Prismacolors, so here I used color softs and some budget pencils like Faber-Castell Eco, a lot of soft pastels for the background. This book is one of the few books I own where color softs behave really well. I love how they lay down, how they blend on this paper, so it was a very pleasant surprise. And the spread I also did with various budget pencils and color softs. It's a very nice book with a lot of nice details which you can find on the page. But quite quickly I realized that the best way to color in this book is to do a watercolor background, watercolor underpaint, and then to work with pencils. And I did a lot of pictures in such a way, but then I started to do this spread. I wasn't happy how watercolors laid here, and again at that moment I was waiting for my set of neon colors, but since that I hadn't touched this page. Maybe now I need to grab my neon colors and to apply second layer for the background to correct areas which I don't like, and finally to finish this book because I do love all pictures here. 3 years ago it was quite popular books and many colorists color in it, but now it's almost abandoned. But it's a pity because I would say that it's quite nice and has many nice designs. Here I did a watercolor underpaint and then worked on, I forgot how to call them. Okay, so for the birds. Sometimes when I'm talking for some time, I forgot even very simple English words. I'm sorry. Anyway, I would say that I still love how I did all these white feathers. I used a lot of white gouache because at that moment I already started to realize that I don't love harsh black lines, especially when they outline animals or birds. I would say that I definitely added too much details to the background, but still this spread is still nice and I'm still proud of my work. It's good that now that I look at this book, I definitely want to color it, and it has some winter pictures also. Maybe I will try to color something in January. Here I used acrylic paint for the background, a watercolor, then I added some metal paints, Prismacolor pencils, so it's a huge mix of various mediums here. Another beautiful winter picture, maybe I also will try to color it. This Alice spread I colored with color softs, and as I said, I was very happy how they behaved. Even background, this pastel yellow ochre background was made with color softs. They lay down really well even on the skin and dress. Here I tested watercolors for autumn leaves and I tried to invent various color combos. Well, it was nice to look back at this book. It was abandoned for some time, but I will try to find time to think which picture I want to do, and I will try to do something in it during next months. And let's move to another books about fairy tales. They are by Tashira. It's another present. When I got them, I was intimidated by so many details and I hadn't have any idea how to color them. But then, step by step, I realized that I really love style of Tashira. Paper is a little bit tricky. It's quite smooth So pencils like Arteza and Polychromosis behave better comparing to Prismacolors. And also we have here huge empty backgrounds, which you definitely want to color with neocolors or with watercolors, but there is a huge possibility of bleeding through. My first attempts were not very successful. The good thing is that we have some very interesting pages like this one from fairy tales, and immediately on the back we have these patterns which I would never want to color. They are not inspiring for me. So it's not the problem those bleeding through, but still I wanted to find my own way how to color in these books. For now I have several finished pictures. I have this Japanese story Tanabata. Here I did background using acrylic paints, black here, and then I added pearlescent of watercolors on the center because according to the story lovers were divided by Milky Way, and here is my Milky Way. Background here inside of the circles also made with acrylic gouache, and then the rest I colored with Prismacolors. It wasn't easy. I thought that these frames they totally ruined my picture, but then I added a lot of white Posca and it really helped. Here was my first successful attempt to use watercolors because as a first layer I applied clear gesso, and then I did underpaint with watercolors and then worked with Arteza. And another spread, it's this Snow White. Actually it was the first spread which I colored after I received this book. Here I tried to test neocolors, they bleeded, and I realized that I have to color with pencils only. Snow White is cute, gnomes are cute, but still, most of all I enjoyed coloring witch. I also added a little bit of gold to the frame, so in real life it's also a little bit sparkly. In the second book by Tashira, a year ago I did this spread with Nutcracker. Here I used a mix of color softs and polychromoses. It was very time consuming because on this paper it was very difficult to cover paper without visible movements, scratches of pencil, but I still love this final look. It's some kind of the scene from the theater, from the Nutcracker ballet, and I love how this Christmas tree looks. I think that it's my only page in this book, but I have a huge plans for it. Now let's move to Kirby Rosanes. For now I have only 2 books by Kirby in my collection. Imagimorphia I got 4 years ago in the very beginning of my coloring journey. So here I have various works. Some of them I colored with budget pencils. This one I did using acrylic paint for the background, then mix of Prismacolors and color softs. This was my first spread colored in this book. Here I used budget pencils Collins. This page I did when I started this coloring channel, so it was quite memorable for me. Here I used mix of watercolor pencils like Kohinoor Mondeluz or Marco Renoir and Inktense pencils for the water and for the tail. On the next page I started to use watercolors in this book. For the first layer on the fur of the camel, for the pyramids, Then I purchased a set of Derwent drawings, and here I tested them for the architectures, and it looks very good. On this royal bird, I tried to color white feathers for the first time in my life using warm grey and cold grey colors. Background is made with soft pastel. It was time when I started to practice how to do realistic gold. This spread I colored totally with Derwent drawings. You can see their famous muted colors, and it was interesting experience for me not to use any bright colors, to work in a limited color palette, and I still love my castles. All these works, they are old, more than 3 years old. Here I tested how watercolors behave for the water, then Inktense pencils for the doodles, for the rest of the fishes and animals, but I didn't have had patience to finish the rest of the page. I'm not a huge fan of these doodles. Fishes I do love to color, but when they are repeated 20 times, it's not my piece of cake. Here I tried to do this ghost of the ship, something like this, like ghost of the pirate ship. It was interesting, but then I don't know why, but I lost inspiration to finish it, to do water. Maybe one day I will return to it. And my favorite spread in this book is this panda bear. For the background and for the mountains which I added, I used gouache. I draw those mountains myself. Then I tried to work with color source, but they didn't want to behave on this paper. They didn't want to blend, so I switched to Prismacolors. It was nice to do this one because it has interesting architectural Japanese temples or animals, so it wasn't boring. And I also have the latest book by Kirby. It's very nice to see that his last books are much more interesting comparing to the first ones. So I hope that his book, which will be published in March, I believe also will be quite nice. Can't wait to see. And here I have 2 finished pictures. One is with a lantern. But where is it? It's so strange. I selected it immediately after I got this book. I immediately got this idea of contrast between warm colors outside and cold colors inside. You know that I love to color gold, I love to color wooden textures, so it was quite easy coloring. And my favorite medium for this book is polychromes. I do love how they glide on the surface of this book. My second finished picture is this antelope. Here I had this idea of one village highlighted by sunlight and the second is under moonlight. I don't know if I was successful in showing my idea, but at least it added some individual features to this page. And when I did these flowers, these plants around, I tried to find plants which resemble actually flowers, and I did them with red and yellow, and then rest I colored like leaves but in blue and violet colors. I also decided to include in this first part of my review this very nice book by Marissa Dilma. I have her pictures in Coloring Haven magazine, but they are also available as separate books. I have heard that recently she published her new book about mermaids, and I can't wait to see, flip through, and maybe then I will purchase it. Here I colored several pictures. This one I colored with a lot of mediums, new colors for the background. Then I added a little bit of pearlescent of watercolors. For the main image I used color source and Prismacolors, so I hope that you can see that it's also a little bit shiny. Original line art was so beautiful that I really was nervous. I didn't want to ruin this page. This red background was also unusual for me, very strong color. Usually I prefer background in more muted natural colors, but here I think that it matched the idea nicely. Also I have this oak fairy. Background is acrylic paint and then a little bit of shiny gold on top of it. The rest are Prismacolors and Derwent drawings also. I have this beautiful Korean fairy and peach blossom around. I can say that background here is quite good, but everything else was very nice to do. My first colored page was this Night Fairy. It also has a little bit of gold and red gold on the background. So it has this magical shining, and I do love her lilac hairs together with pastel green dress. Recently I finished also this kitsune. I forgot how to work on this paper, so I struggled a little bit when I did background, and I can say that my water looks quite nice, but at least I love that I added something to the lower part because it looked very empty comparing to very busy top part of the page, and I do love this orange red together with turquoise. And finally, let's talk about a romantic country. It's a fun story because this book was abandoned for 4 years. I was very unhappy with the style of the artist, with the paper quality. It was one of my first purchased book 4 years ago, and I tested here watercolors, color softs and my budget pencils. I didn't like how they look. They always look muted, they never looked bright. Here was my first test, and I set it aside. And only in this year, this summer, after I got a request from one of my followers, I started to color in this book using Prismacolors. As my first project, I selected these cute houses. You know that I love to color shops, houses, restaurants, cafe. So I did this tea shop, I did this restaurant, everything with Prismacolors, and I realized that even if I still don't like this paper, but I can work on it. And there are very cute, nice designs. So I did this French patisserie. Background, these walls are made with neon colors, and then I worked with Prismacolors. It was very nice process. I enjoyed it immensely. And after that I did another set of pictures. These stables. I can't say that I enjoyed coloring horse, but all other things, all those baskets, buckets, all those clothes, walls and door, straw. I do love to color such things. I love to color interior designs. I love to color outside designs and landscapes. So I hope that now I won't be abandoning this book, so I have a lot of pictures from it on my to-do list. For Halloween I did this page. For the background again I used neon colors but also a lot of pearlish and fine tip of watercolors. And here I tested how polychromoses behave on this paper. And finally I also have this very cozy library. For the walls again I tried to apply neon colors and then I worked on top of it with Prismacolors. It was long coloring because of so many details, but I think that now I mastered this paper. As I said, I definitely not a fan of it. Pencils still blend not so well and it's difficult to cover all white spots, but at least now I realized how to work on it, so I definitely will continue to use this book. I thank you for watching. I hope that this video wasn't very long and very boring. And I hope that you will join me in my next parts because I have huge book collection, so somehow I need to divide it into groups and to create several videos about everything I colored during my coloring journey. Thanks for watching and have a nice time.